my guest today on the show. It's still the Christmas special on Arise 360. Jinmi Abduls is a singer and songwriter based here in Lagos, Nigeria. Now, what's most interesting apart from his art, is the fact that he founded Chase Music Africa. It's a music production and artist development agency. Congratulations on the work you've done in 2022. I mean, you discovered acts like Fave, remind me, Dami, what's his last name? Dami Oniru, exactly. That's big. That's really big. But in 2022, what we've also seen is a situation whereby we have a lot of artists who have struggled to manage their fame. Why do you think this happens?
First of all, I say it's good to be here. It's very good to be here with you. And yes, much of the work we do with artist development basically is mentoring young talents, right? From the developmental stages, from the raw talent stage to the neighborhood star to country known to international. We've been in this for about 6 years, and we've worked with many artists on many levels, I myself as well. And I think the issue with maintaining fame is primarily outside the control of the musician. There's so many factors that we compete with, right, in our bid to stay relevant in our careers. There are many factors like funding, there are many factors like management or personal hiatus of the musician because of personal reasons. But primarily, I think it's possible for a musician to, stay relevant for long periods of time. But the tricky thing about the music industry is the musician is the product, and that product is a human being, so it's almost so crazy and difficult to, keep someone running non-stop. So I guess I would say it's kind of normal for a musician to, fluctuate, yeah. But
we've also seen a lot of artists that are trying to get into this music space. I mean, big shout out to Fave. 2022 was a great year for her. Amazing year. But there are lots of artists who haven't been as lucky with regards to their craft. You have people who oftentimes they blow off TikTok, that one song is such a big single, and then afterwards you're like, where's this person now? Where are they? One-hit wonders, but you can't even classify them as one-hit wonders because they were not technically hits. They were more like social media hits. So how do we now manage that, looking at the fact that so many people want to get into the limelight? Are there steps, processes? I mean, apart from the obvious, putting your music out there, promotions, what are the strategies towards getting people to actually recognize and understand that I'm trying to be a homegrown artist as opposed to just, a social media fly?
I'll borrow something from what you said. I think a very key point is that consistency, building consistency in anything. If it's music, if it's dance, if it's martial arts, whatever it is, building consistency is pretty difficult. And what consistency means is to show up every day, whether the crowd is cheering for you or the crowd is absent. One is to keep showing up. But oftentimes I find that musicians often get discouraged by the days, which there will be many, they're often discouraged by days when there's really no one cheering off. So that's why you see many people fall out of the limelight. They're like, you know what?
I'm not doing this. But I mean, apart from that though, who would you say, when looking at, let's say the last 5 years in music, who would you say are artists that you wish pushed a little more? I mean, I have okay, so let's do it this way. I'm going to mention 2 artists that I wish pushed a little more. For you, who would those 2 be?
You know what? I think it would kind of be unfair because from the perspective of a musician, I think it would be unfair to say pushed a little more because funny thing is many artists are actually working day in, day out. Nothing they wouldn't give, to be the most relevant. But funny enough, they don't get to choose who the audience is listening to. So if you check it, every artist that you wish could push a little more.
I was gonna mention DNA Twins, and I'll tell you why I don't know if you've heard about DNA Twins.
Oh, I've worked with them. We work a lot.
Now, when I was on radio, right, I interviewed DNA Twins. That's when they had just put out "How Can I?" and "Getting Your Money, My Happy View." That was when they had, my voice is terrible. Geez. That's when they had just put out "How Can," and then they got on Mavens and they started doing a show on TV, and then all of a sudden and in my head I was just like, yo.
I'm here to put it to everybody that is watching this, right? And this is coming from personal experience.
I was offended because I won't say offended. I won't say hurt. I don't know the word to use.
Now, imagine how you feel, and now imagine how the musician feels.
But what if...
I keep saying, nothing the musician...
Do you know sometimes fans will believe that, I beg, this one just doesn't send.
Not really. But the funny thing is, it's totally, to a large extent, out of the control of the musician if the fans will consume. All I can do as the musician, right, is to create the music and put it on my social media and give it as much visibility as I can. But the funny thing about pop culture, because we're making pop music in 2022, right? Thing about pop culture comes from popular culture, right? So whatever the crowd, wherever everybody's, Ashake is hot, everybody's listening to Ashake.
You know why I find it hard to agree with that point, yeah? I tell you, systems, right? So there's some music record labels that if you tell me this is your record label and you don't blow, understand, like it's fine. Not everyone, pops out of there. But there are some places that, listen, if you're in this circle and you don't blow, there's nothing you want to tell me. YBNL. I feel like YBNL is that kind of record that if you're in there under the management of Olamide has proven, and these are not fan statements or unchecked facts. These are facts that you can research and Google. Under Olamide's mentorship, we've seen artists upon artists do well. Not for nothing, at least 2-3 hot songs. You get my point. DMW has done that as well. Although DMW,
and that's by virtue of the cosign.
Exactly.
Platform of the cosign.
Yes, because oftentimes if Davido is not on,
I would say the cosign stage, right, is relevant to the stage of launching an artist, right?
Yeah.
That much, right? But now maintaining a career is a whole other business, right? Like I keep saying, from experience, once again, there's so many factors that one individual is trying to catch, and I bet you anything, every musician that you think they are trying. You're
going to say something about DNA Twins.
So the DNA Twins, they are my very, very, very good friends. They come to my studio. I have a studio in Lekki.
No hate, by the way. I love them. I just felt
I have so much love for them.
Yeah.
They come to my studio in Lekki, Little Lagos Studios. They work so hard. Their process is almost like these twins are in sync.
But what happened? How are you? I'm not saying, it's just like me. Someone can tell me, Kachi, how are you in a rise and you haven't gotten, 5 million followers? Or listen, it's not an unfair pressure. I'm not trying to put pressure on anyone. I would tell you this. I am working my way up. I am putting myself out there as much as I can. I'm in my process, and if you can see it, you can see it.
And I think it's the same with music. I think,
with them, the problem is they're not even there anymore. So that's the question, like, what happened? Because for me, that was a significant, I don't think we talk about it enough. You have artists that are retiring without even what is going on?
Because by the nature of the music industry, I was reading this very, very interesting article a couple of days back. And the article was, I can't remember where I read it, but it was top 40 biggest comebacks in music history, right? And this was talking about people like, what's this legend? Frank Sinatra and the likes. In this article, it's talking about 11 years between this thing you're talking about. I'm telling you, it's so consistent. Like, it's actually not a problem. It's actually the nature of the music industry.
Yeah.
It's actually more rare to find an Ashake that pops all year round than to find any other artist. It's not likely that you pop. There's so much variety. You are not the only talent, right? And then there's factors that we can't control, like time. Like you said, you're in your process. So I wouldn't cheat my process, right? You really can't even control it, even if you wanted to. In fact, I promise you this, I would have loved to be at the Grammys next year, right? But guess what? I don't think, by the universe, by destiny, God, whatever anyone would like to call it, right? I believe in God. But it's not yet that time in my process. All that is within my control as the musician is to put in my best and create the most quality work, right? Now, unfortunately, there may be some times in season, right, where the fans are currently raving over this artist or this new artist or this trend or that trend. Sometimes I may have to go back to the drawing board. Sometimes I may have to socialize with who is currently hot, right? To know what is currently the trend, right? Like you said, the cosign I feel is only relevant in the launching phase. Now, I think one thing that could really help artists to get through this phase, right? Because it actually comes with so much pressure, so much anxiety. If you think you're the only person asking this question, sometimes as a musician, I'll tell you guys a secret. Sometimes I just to see what my fans are saying about me, that they don't tag me in, right? I search my name on Twitter to see what they're talking about. They're like, where is this guy? Is he missing? And I'm like, I'm right here on my couch, chilling, like I'm not missing. I'm putting out music, I'm working as hard as I can. You may not notice these 6 songs that I put out in succession, but the 7th might be the one. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna show up every day and give him my best. And
to be honest with you, I'm so happy you said that, because I feel like what I just did now is what fans out there are doing on a daily.
So trust me, they hear it every day.
Yeah, and this, like, okay, so I listened to Dremel's recent song, and the song sounded more like an ode to all the fans asking him, Dremel, what are you up to? Than an artist who's just
I think it's the biggest pressure of a musician.
It is the big, and I could hear the pressure in that song. I could hear the pressure of, Dremel guy, wait till they walk you now. Like, what's
and many of us respond to that pressure in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Many musicians will go into addictions because they can't handle the anxiety. Trust me, the anxiety, the pressure, like it pushes many musicians who are weak-willed, into
depression. Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Because when I think of that pressure, it boils down to 2 things: expectations and, vision. So the expectation that other people have of you, and the vision
you have of yourself.
You have of yourself.
It's so funny you said that, because I've written these 2 exact words. I journal a lot, right? And then one day, like I said, sometimes you search your name. Yeah. You see some things that will break your heart, because your fans have expectations of you, right? Yeah. And then you're thinking to yourself, like, you fans really actually have the power to like make me the biggest musician in the country. You guys don't know that. If you guys share my music a little bit more and don't keep it to yourself
and maybe
selfishly,
do like some dances to it.
Make videos. Like I can't promote my music by myself.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be myself, my label, my team, and the fans. It's going to be a whole process, right? But you're very correct, because it's the expectations of the fans and it's the vision you have of yourself. My advice to any musician that is listening to this right now, because I've been through many tough stages where in the process of learning, it's good that we learn, where I felt depressed because of these expectations, But I have to always remind myself, we have a vision. We know where we are trying to get. We know how we are trying to get there. We cannot be distracted by the expectations of fans, because when it materializes and it comes into fruition, they will understand. So I try to not be pressured.
The irony of what you just said now. When they now understand, they forget.
They forget.
The funny thing. So if you went to go and let's say you went to go kill yourself, or you went to go into addiction.
When you have the hits, everybody will forget that. Everybody will be your friend.
Everybody will love you.
Everybody will love you.
It's pathetic.
Everybody that said you fell off, bro, they'll be looking for you.
We'll be like, yo, do you want to come on an interview? Do you get my point?
You'll be hers, don't worry.
It's a mess. It's such a messy system.
And I said something earlier in this interview. I said the music industry is tricky because the product, right, is a human being.
Yeah.
I'm 50, Jinmi Abduls, right? So my name is Oluwafe Jinmi. That's the individual. But as Jinmi Abduls, I am 50% my music, my sound, and 50% my brand. Those 2 things together come together to make Jinmi Abduls.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, that brand / music has mental health. It has vision. It has bills to pay. It has a team to feed, it has so many things attached to it. So I can understand why the pressure of that,
listen,
it can be so
I feel
choking.
For me, while everyone is doing matching PJ pictures and everyone is like, to you and yours on Instagram, my focus was just, my heart goes out to all the people who are not feeling emotionally energetic to celebrate the holiday. People who are not feeling fulfilled enough.
People are overwhelmed.
People are
for so many reasons.
What they don't get is the industry that we are in is so tricky. Every other day, I am uplifting somebody on Instagram, just reminding them that, listen, this is a process.
It's a process.
But you can never let your joy be based off of that expectation that people have of you. Otherwise,
it was such a fight for me. It was such a battle for me to realize, you know what? I really can't let the words of somebody that I really don't know behind some keyboard decide if I'm having a great day or because guess what? You have horrible days every day of the year.
Exactly. Exactly.
If you want to be a musician, you want to be a star, guess what? You catch your L's in public. Like, you catch your L's in public. In fact, for you to have fallen off, it means you are relevant, right? For people to notice that you are missing, right? So, seek solace in that, right? And keep to the process.
Keep to the process. Let's do this, Jinmi. Let's take a quick break on Arise 360.
Right.
When we return, I will still have Jinmi Abduls here with me, and we'll be walking through his own music because, like I said, he's also an artist, and maybe he'll do some, he'll sing a little. Stay with us. You're still watching Arise 360. We'll be right back. You're still with me on Arise 360, and I am here to make you smile and feel better about your entire year, especially if you're an artist, because just as Jinmi Abduls and I were talking about being an artist, especially for the year 2022, it has not been easy mentally for a lot of artists, and we have to remember this. Like, we talk about the same set of people. We forget that, oh, this person just had a baby, so we need to give this person time to bounce back. We forget that, oh my goodness, this person lost her mom, or this person lost their partner, this person lost a very good friend, so we've got to give them time. But you see, fans are just insatiable. They keep asking and asking and asking, they never just think. But then, Jinmi, you're also an artist, and I want you to walk me through your own pace, because for you to help others, it means that there's something you've discovered that you strongly believe others need to know about as well. So tell me about that.
Well, what I would say about my career is I've been making music for a very long time, and I've been blessed. Well, I guess I wasn't what you call an overnight success or a breakout artist, right? Mm-hmm. I was, first of all, a secondary school sensation, performing secondary school to secondary school.
Yeah.
And then I expanded. I started performing universities and some other states and, going to other universities. And then I expanded, and people on social media started to, then we expanded, and people across Africa, and then, it's been a process of expansion. What I've learned in all this time is music is a spirit, right? And I think it's all decided by God who pops. Really, we really don't have so much control over it like we think we do, right? As much as we have control over is the quality of our work. So I would encourage musicians, right, who feel the spotlight is not on them, or the spotlight was on them before and it left or something like that. Just all that is within your control is the quality of the music, right? And, little things like the quality of people you surround yourself with in terms of your team and the likes. One thing I've certainly realized lately with music is, firstly, music is so much more expensive to make in 2022 than previous years.
Yeah,
so
you're right.
If you notice that a musician isn't so consistent, right, it could be owed to that, right? Right now, there's probably, because of how the expectations, once again, of my fans, there's a certain quality of music I can't fall beneath. Mm-hmm. There's a certain quality of content I can't fall beneath making, right? There's some things that would look stupid if I'm still making.
If you did, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, this guy was doing this in 2019.
Yeah.
Why is he still doing this kind of stuff? There's expectations of you at that point. And many of us musicians, right, we're independent musicians. I'm an independent musician. That's why I started Chase Music Nigeria, basically to aid many other young musicians who do not have that funding, who do not have that backup, to aid them. So basically, one of the things we do with Chase Music is we do these recording camps. We did 2 this year.
Okay.
Yes, and these recording camps, was just an idea I had sometime in January. Got a building, right? And I stocked all the rooms in that building, about 5 bedrooms. We stocked it with a lot of music equipment, right? So we made makeshift studios. And then we put out a link on Twitter. So a lot of upcoming musicians who don't have access to that funding for studio time, right? Because many of these young, talented cats, they have songs, amazing songs written, and they wait 6 months before they can find, money, gather enough money to go to the studio to record it, right? So I was thinking, what can we do for these people? Because funding is the primary issue in the music industry, I would say, and if the primary thing that you need to start this thing is the music, you don't have that. So how do we give these guys a fighting chance? Because big labels are only funding the guys at the top. So what about the guys at the bottom, right?
Yeah. So
we got this building, fitted it with makeshift studios, and we sourced and filtered through social media. If it's a freestyle video you have, send it. If you've recorded something before, send it. And my team and I, we sat down and we looked through and we got the best of them, producers, songwriters, and artists, right? Invited them over to the house, for about 5 days, got food, got drinks and everything. And you see how crazy productive these guys were. And that proved one thing to me, right? That if there was funding in the music industry, I'm sure artists on that level of kickstarting, right? I'm sure artists in the mid-level of transitioning to stars, right? I'm sure artists that are already stars and need to break out on a world level.
You know my worry as well?
Yes.
Jimmy, you have to agree there's some really bad songs out there.
There's so much noise. There's more noise than music
out there. I feel like sometimes I'm even worried because I'm like, yes, I agree with the whole funding idea, but at least it saves us some songs I hear.
But I mean, you see, why
it's like
that's why this process of filtering. Nobody that came to that recording camp was whack. Let me use that word. Yeah. Because we filtered. So I mean, if we Chase Music, a little team of about 6 people, right, could sit down, filter, and say this guy is good, this guy is good, this guy is unique, this guy's unique sound. I'm sure the people with the funds, the people with the bar, they can definitely filter. And if they can't filter, then there are companies like Chase Music that will help them to do the work.
Where is the place? Another issue in the industry is character. Now, the whole idea that, which is a lot of artists will tell you, do you know how long I've been doing this? Like, do you know how long I've been singing? Do you know how long I've been rapping? Do you know but you have people, which is a norm in life, you know. There are some people that don't care. If they want to help you, they'll help you. Whether you are, they'll help you because they want to for your worth. Yeah. But there are some people that if you're not ready to kiss the ground that they walk on and grovel, you're not going to get that thing that you want. Now, there are some artists that are unable to do that. And it's put them in positions where they now say, this one is not ready. But it's not like they're not ready. They just know that I'm worth it.
You know, and
I'm worth it, and I refuse to be
personal experience.
Because embarrassed.
You're in the entertainment industry. The entertainment industry is very political.
Oh, it is. It is
so political.
Yeah, it is.
I don't want to say, pardon my French, but you know, if you don't lick people's boots, technically, there's only so far.
Oh my goodness, you've got to learn how to massage.
You know, but one thing I would say is if you're confident in yourself, and I don't think Nigerians like confidence so much.
No. You can't be too confident.
They don't like someone that's confident in themselves.
You're cocky, Jinmi.
I mean, there's a thin line.
And you don't have, there's a thin line.
There's a thin line between confidence and arrogance, right?
Yeah.
I will always encourage confidence. Confidence to me is knowing your self-worth, knowing your abilities, knowing what you can do, and knowing that you can put in the work to back that up. Whoever I say I am.
But do people care about that, Jinmi?
Confidence always finds a way to get you there.
Because that's the thing, because I feel like we have a lot of confident artists who are waiting for someone to see that they're worth it. And then you have people who are going the route of, I beg, man,
whatever they say I should do, let me just
do. And then for some
I've seen more people get into trouble from that though. I've seen there's only so long you can put up an act.
Yeah.
Like whatever you say, I'm okay. You know what? I want this guy to fund my. So anything he says I should do, they find themselves in tricky situations, signing shady deals, or getting in business with people who lack integrity in the long run, or people who would take that for granted and use it, right? So now you thought you were going to be an artist, right? Making music and doing what you love, but now you're really just a dog on a leash.
I know, and nobody wants that.
So it's another horrible place to be. So
listen,
there's a lot of horrible places to be in the music industry. Just choose the one that works.
Choose the one that works for you, and
talk it out.
Before I let you go, I wanted to do something because it's still the Christmas season. We're still in the holiday spirit. So I am giving everyone watching Arise 360 a Christmas special.
Okay.
So you have to do something before you go. Ooh. Something special, like a sound, a song. I could give you a beat. I don't know how to drum well. I'm terrible. But I have good rhythm though, but I just don't know how to drum.
Yeah. She asked me when I am old, I'm no longer beautiful. And when I just need to laugh, Jinmi, show my funny life. Yes, I will make you smile every day. And when it's time to go home, show my Bamiloli.
Hey, you see, a special from Jinmi Abduls to you watching the show. Thank you so much, Jinmi, for joining me.
My pleasure. It was good being
here. This
was
a great conversation because I feel like we could talk about the big artists and the people who made, you know, big deals in 2022, but it is also important to remember that there are people who have worked as hard.
It's great because these are conversations that rarely ever had, so I'm really happy you asked these questions.
Sure thing. We'll do this again, and
for sure.
Happy holidays to you.
Same to you.
All right.